Word. Dollar acting up, man.
What up?
What's going on, man? You got a part of me. My dollar acting crazy.
It's all right. It's all good.
All right, so I'm gonna repeat again what I was saying before I got cut off.
Right.
So for our next topic, we was talking about boys to men. Killer Mike recently had like a post on IG. So I'm gonna read a little bit of what he posted on IG to give you guys some context. So he was saying a lot of men fell off with a girl they want to spend their life with. He said men should be led by goals, principles, and discipline, and not just the want of a woman. Become who you really want to be before you want to spend a dollar, cent, or the rest of your life with anyone. Men, take care of you first, or they can never properly take care of a woman and a family. This is a hard lesson to learn, but the younger the man that learns it, the better the man he will be, the better life he will have. And he has some more stuff, but I don't want to get too much into that. Um, but I guess my question to you, Tribor, is what are your thoughts about it?
I definitely saw the post, and I agree with what he's saying. I think it was more of an uplifting post to black men and not putting them down and degrading them. And I agree. I feel like you should think about being successful in life before getting with a female. Like I just saw a lot of females put us down because they feel like we don't offer nothing to them when we enter a relationship with them, and we feel they will feel some type of way. And I think it's very an uplifting message the way that he did it, and to tell black men to get yourself right mentally and your career before thinking about having a family with a woman or marriage or anything like that. And I agree with that. I definitely feel like we need those type of role models for our people, because if we don't look out for our people, who's gonna look out for us? You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with Killer Mike, and he's always been a stand up guy, and I feel like he is a positive role model that doesn't get enough mention.
Um, that's an interesting perspective that you took. I agree. I think that's the perspective he took with it. Like, I think he's just trying to have like a black homes just really solidified. He wants the men to really be mature.
Right.
Um, not so much playing devil's advocate, but offer perspective. I think that some people may not want to have a family or whatever, do whatever like that. I think you could be established
Right.
and look to have a relationship with a woman that's not so much solidified in marriage or having kids or whatever.
Right.
I don't think it negates that.
Mhm.
Um, but I do respect his message, though. I think it's really like having purpose with what you're trying to do in your life, not just so much
Right.
I'm trying to get money and and be a woman or whatnot. Like, I think he's definitely trying to push that narrative of having purpose and being established.
Right. And like
Back up.
somebody said, like it's also like making sure that you're right, so that when you meet that right woman, that she don't take advantage of you and see that like this guy's on top, he's doing a lot of things and try to mess you up in life. So I definitely agree with what he's saying.
I'm reading some of the comments. Back to the lab is like for sure, but then you got females that are build judo, which is true. I
Right.
mean, that's
Right.
always a beautiful thing. Man, when a man and a woman are building together, you can't stop. That's unstoppable right there.
Yeah.
And Queen Poe, she says absolutely. Both men and women need to have their shit together holistically
Right.
before they can get with a person.
But he was addressing mostly the black men, not even the women. So I understand, like, looking out for us as men. So I understand what he's saying.
And to the hip, to the hop, definitely, but that goes in both ways. And
Right.
Giddy came back from vacation. He said everyone's a work in progress. It's tough out here. And yeah, I think everyone's kind of on the same like wavelength in terms of that thought.
Hmm. Definitely.
But yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I think that's the perspective he's coming with in terms of that.
Yeah.
So for our next topic, I wanted to cover my guy ASAP Fergie. I wanted to cover that the floor seats too. Did you get the chance to listen to it?
Yes, I listened to it.
Okay.
I listened to it.
Um,
I liked the first track, Marilyn Manson. That was a nice
hold on.
fusion with.
Before you get
Okay,
into
my
that,
bad, my bad.
Tyler, let me just read real quick for the fans that don't know. So he dropped a 10 track project, with a bunch of star-studded features: Tiger, Lil Wayne, Nicki, Made in Tokyo, 5 Year Foreign, Jay Guapo, Puff, okay, aka Diddy, if I don't know, and yeah, and it was 10 song project.
Yeah.
And I guess from there we can like get into like, what are your thoughts on the project?
I thought it was decent. He's not an artist that I normally would listen to, but like I know of ASAP Mob and ASAP Rocky and Yams and them, and I listened to it. I liked Marilyn Manson. I thought that was a nice a mashup between like hip hop and alternative rock, and bringing in a legend like Marilyn Manson on the song with them. I liked Dennis Rodman. That was a dope song, and like gave a big shout out to one of the best NBA defenders of all time, Dennis Rodman. I
Hmm.
watched a lot of him, a lot of Detroit Pistons basketball back in the day, a lot of Chicago Bulls basketball, especially when he played my Knicks. Um, I liked the song he did with Puffy, Hectic. That was a dope song. It's been a long time since I heard a song with Puffy on it, and that was dope. So I heard like some other tracks as well, but like those three stand out for me. They
Hmm.
could be like big hits for him. I definitely think at this point he don't really need ASAP Mob, to go. I think he could be successful in his own. He's made a name for himself the past couple of years, and I thought it was dope.
I share very similar sentiments with you. I had to take some notes. Had to go back to school real quick. Um, I definitely like the Marilyn Manson song as well. It gave me like throwback ASAP vibes, like one of the
Yeah,
older songs that they used to do. And I
right.
feel like I could have seen Rocky on this, like ASAP Rocky on this, like as a
Yeah,
feature
yeah,
on this song.
yeah,
Definitely like that. I was never a fan of No Ceilings. It just sounded cheesy. It sounded like they were trying to force a sound like sonically. I wasn't really rocking with it.
right.
Um, I think again that's a win for Ferg to have Weezy on that. Obviously, Weezy could black with his verse, but I wasn't
Right.
really a fan. Like the hook, it just wasn't. It didn't resonate for me. I liked Mask. Move Your Hips in comparison to No Ceilings sonically as like a
Mm,
feature song was way better
right.
than No Ceilings. I liked it, with Nicki and Uzi.
Yeah.
Um, and Value, I liked Value. It was dope with like kind of like the integration of the social context in it. I think it was okay
Right.
with that. And Get Hectic. I think the messaging was dope. It sounded like he
Yeah.
probably did that at the last part.
Right.
Um, but the second verse I wasn't feeling. It kind of seemed like just sonically it seemed cheesy, but the messaging wasn't lost. I like it. And for you guys who didn't listen to it, Get Hectic was kind of like acknowledging a lot of racial injustice. Do you know how Diddy do?
Yeah.
He leave his little comments here and there. So
Right.
that
Right.
also resonated for me on this.
Right.
Um,
But at least having Puffy on there saying the stuff he was saying and not rapping, because I don't think he's a great rapper. I never thought he was. But he it was a powerful song that we definitely need during these times.
um, and you kind of answered the question I was going to ask you next. I was just
Right.
gonna say, do you think a project like this, like, indicates that he don't really need?
Now he definitely have his own brand. He can definitely go out solo on his own. You don't. I
Mhm.
mean, but yeah, it's always cool to have that collective behind you. But in case you do fail as a solo artist, you can always come back to the mob. But he definitely can go out on his own.
I agree, and I think that this album was really a party album. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I don't think it was like a complete project kind of thing.
right,
And I feel like he just put it out for the time being. But he's been in the
right.
game for so long to even have those features. It
Mm-hmm.
just shows his level of prominence in the game. So I agree. Like
Definitely.
if he needs to, he can drop that label, the
Right,
ASAP, like
right,
So, but
right.
so I know I had you come on the show. And I know you have a wealth of knowledge. So I want to get to this next topic. You know what I mean? So Raekwon recently was celebrating the Wu-Tang presence on the Rolling Stones Go album list.
Right.
And so I'll read a little bit more context for y'all. Earlier this week, Rolling Stone they unveiled a revised edition of their massive 500 greatest albums of all time list. And although like hip hop kind of remains like it's not really like represented well on that list, there's definitely some spots in where like hip hop is recognized. And Wu Tang had a couple slots. You know, Raekwon had a slot in a 219 spot for only built for Cuban links. Ghostface Killer Supreme Clientele at 403. GZA's Liquid Swords at 307. And the Wu Tang's on their debut album, Enter the Wu, was at the number 27. So that's lots to kind of digest. And so my first question to you is: do you feel like the Wu Tang albums should have a higher slot on that list? Period.
Of course. I mean, I'm a Wu head from day one. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Wu Tang in concert, 1996. I've always supported them, whether it was the clan itself or the Wu affiliate. Again, I had this conversation before. I don't think Rolling Stone ever represented our culture well. When you have publications like Spin Magazine and Billboard Magazine, I never thought they represented us. Like I've always, when I was buying magazines, when I was rushing to the newsstand, I was buying the Source Magazine, Vibe Magazine, Rap Pages, publications like that. So I don't really put too much stock in what, Rolling Stone said. I don't feel like they dictate our culture. The real hip hop heads know that, Enter the Wu Tang should be much higher than, number 27. Cuban Link to me is like the best Wu solo album ever. Iron Man, Supreme Clientele, the Liquid Swords. I love those albums. Definitely, if it was up to me though, if I had my own list, that would be in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But I mean, it's cool to include those classic albums on a list with when you have like the Beatles and David Bowie and all that. That's cool. But we know at the end of the day that those albums are holy grail albums and they should be higher. So I don't really put too much stock in what Rolling Stone
Man, this guy, man, he took everything away, man. And it's funny because I feel the same way. Like, I'm looking at some of the comments. Black Zach was saying, "Who cares about those people's lists?" People are saying
Exactly.
100. They definitely agree. And I think that I agree with you. Like, I think like who's to say that all these platforms constitute where hip hop lies? Like, we know the value that it holds, and we gotta think about who these people are sitting down at these tables deciding what some of these albums mean for the culture. You know what I mean? So I agree with you 100% on that.
I mean, like, what was it, like, 500 list?
It's 500 greatest albums of all time.
That would be impossible for me to do, like, a 500 list and put, what's number one, what's number two. But like I said, like, it's good to be in that company with, legends of other genres, Stevie Wonder and Phil Collins. That's good. But when it comes to hip hop, I think that's something that the hip hop heads, that's for us to decide. I don't feel like Rolling Stone represent us well.
Back to the lab. Your guess beats me. I don't know. Yeah, like I agree. Like if we're not at that table, it's a different conversation. Like you put anybody at
Right.
different tables to decide something, of course, it's not gonna really reflect the true impact. You know what I mean? And
Bill Clinton made the list.
you said Bill Clinton made the list.
What?
I just think it all depends, man. Like and people have their feelings towards hip hop, but they don't understand the impact it has on culture. And just look at how hip hop is hitting today. It's the
Exactly.
biggest genre. So I just feel like it's all relative to that individual, but we know what it is, you know?
It it
So
it makes for discussions and debates, like the same way Double XL has the freshman cover, and every year people feel slighted and they have a debate about it. Just makes for discussions and debates. But we know those albums means. I mean, those albums for me, during my teenage years, they definitely mean a lot to me. I hold a lot of sentimental value to a lot of those albums,
mhm.
so I would definitely put those higher.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the Wu is the greatest rap group ever? We had this conversation before, me and Giddy, but I want to ask you, are they the greatest rap group ever?
Oh man, the greatest ever. There's so many. Like they definitely would be in my top three, just for the impact that they had on the industry. Being a whole collective, non-MCs, and then getting the label deals for each solo member and branching out and then watching each solo member excel at their craft and they've done a lot. They put Staten Island on the map, and they definitely for me is top three all time. Like I said, like I've seen them in concert. They put on a great show, and I don't know if I don't want to say I think because I think that's debatable. I think people will say NWA or Public Enemy, Run DMC. That's really what started it off for me as far as like '80s rappers. Seeing Run DMC be successful. Salt and Pepper would be the greatest female rap group in my opinion. The Fugees, the Roots. It's so many, but I think that's a debatable question. But they definitely for me is top three all time.
I think with those questions, I always go back to what is the criteria. So, if you're looking at impact, honestly, who got a stronger impact than the Wu? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I would say NWA because even like back when they came out, if you remember, like you couldn't buy their albums. Like if you was like a shorty, you couldn't buy their albums. Their albums were being sold beyond the register. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't buy their albums when I was like 10, 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? I had to get like an adult to buy that for me. And they without no radio play, like they sold millions. That's hard to do in this day and age. And I think they broke barriers as far as like, opening the door for gangster rap and putting gangster rap in mainstream America. But I mean, there's so many. Like I said, the Roots, great band. I saw them in concert. They played great live. The Fugees for what they've done with the one classic album, The Score. Lauryn Hill branched out and she became a legend, and Wyclef. And it's so many. It's so many other. Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill is one of my favorite groups of all time. Outkast, definitely one of my favorites. I saw them in concert. There's so many other groups. Even the '80s groups we forget about Houdini. UTFO, Run DMC, the Fat Boys. It's a lot. Like we could be here all day ranking each group, but I definitely feel like we have an impact because, like I said, because having a big collective like that and changing the game where each member of that collective go out solo and get a record label deal. And if it wasn't for Wu, you wouldn't have Dipset or G Unit, State Property, and those collectives. So I definitely feel like they right up there for me.
I'm gonna head to like the comment section. We got some action going up there right now. Back to the last. I'm from the South, and the Wu is the most influential in the entire culture. I think Queen Po is trolling. She said Outkast beats Wu.
Uh,
I mean, they're
I
not
disagree.
trash, but
I disagree. I feel like Outkast are legends. Like they did what they said they was gonna do. They went at the Source Awards when Andre said, the South got something to say. They said it, and they said it well. And they're legends to me. Like that's the best, Southern group out there, in my opinion. I love 3 6 Mafia, Bone Thugs and Harmony. But Outkast did they did what they said it was gonna
mm. It looks like we might have to have another debate on this, man. Because I think we're gonna be here all day. Because now we getting the
do.
top rap albums. Queen Post saying that Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt is number one, and Giddy saying that Ready to Die is number one. What you think? What you think, Chai?
I love both. Um, uh, I don't know. I love Ready to Die is classic. Reasonable Doubt, Illmatic. It's hard to choose just one. I think that's why it's great to have these discussions and these debates about it because like it preserves our culture when it comes to legendary albums. You know what I'm saying? So when Rolling Stone wants to make a list and they have Phil Collins or Stevie Wonder or whatever, just remember that hip hop we have our own classic albums as well. So it's hard to just pick one. I can never pick one.
You don't have a
Yeah.
preference? No preference, bro?
Between
But between
Ready to
the two?
Die and Reasonable Doubt?
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, nah. They both from Brooklyn. They both from my home. So I love both. I love both. I gotta be biased. You know what I mean?
It's tough because I wonder if Biggie's passing impacts that conversation. Do you think it impacts it or no?
For Ready to Die?
Like, if we're comparing Ready to Die and Reasonable Doubt, does his passing
No,
impact that
because
conversation?
no, because when Ready to Die came out in '94, like the buzz was huge for that album. We were expecting something great, and he delivered on many levels. And by the time Life After Death came out, we knew Ready to Die was a classic already. Like it wasn't something that it dropped today and then tomorrow we were calling it a classic. You have to sit with those albums for weeks and months, even years before they become a classic. And this is before social media. So, but by the time the double CD came out, we knew that Radio Die was a classic. So, I think I don't feel like his death propelled the album. I just felt like it was a different time, and we knew that it was a classic. And then when Life After Death came out, he wasn't here unfortunately, but he left us a classic as well. So he was just that talented.
And I'm gonna head back to the comment section. Queen Poe is saying, "Channel your inner troll for a second." Y'all be going back and forth, so she wants smoke. And then
What
Karen Moore saying the Chicago in me says crucial conflict. Oh man, crucial conflict, hard too.
Yeah,
You got some
it is
action
though.
in the comment section.
What does she mean by trolling? I'm just saying like it's hard for me to pick either because I mean they all from here. You know what I'm saying? I love both of them. I feel like without Biggie, you don't have Jay-Z. You know,
Oh
I don't I
man,
don't think I don't think let me
oh
rephrase that. I don't think Jay would be as big if Biggie wasn't here. That was his homeboy. They were planning on coming out with a commission super group. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Biggie passing, part of that is based on Jay-Z's success. I don't know if Jay would be as big if Big was still here. Because when Jay took over, by the time Hard Knock Life came out, that really blew him up. He wasn't a household name before then, but when the anthem dropped, he became a household name, and I feel like he took advantage of that. We were calling him the King of Brooklyn. He responsible for the Nets coming to Brooklyn and that whole bringing Barclays Center being built here and all that. That's in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So he's done a lot. He is a legend. But I feel like if Biggie was still alive, would Jay be as big as Biggie? I feel like Big would be maybe a level bigger than Jay.
that's a valid point, man. I think there's a cause and effect to that. I think that with Big's passing, it opened the door for this quote unquote King of New York kind of thing. And I mean, yeah, there is some influences that like Jay probably, he closely was associated with Big. So I think that's a very valid point. Yeah,
Right.
and we wouldn't know unless he died. You know what I mean? If he didn't die, we don't know that. So that's very
Right.
valid. Yeah. They said Queen Post says Jay was Jay when Biggie was here though.
Yeah, but no, but I'm saying when Reasonable Doubt dropped, I don't feel like it was as big as Ready to Die. Like years later it became big, and then when he came out with like he have albums that between Hard Knock Life that was slept on. Volume 1 is slept on. Nobody talks about that album. I think that's a solid album. Nobody mentions that. They skip over that album. You get to Hard Knock Life. That really blew him up. Like my mom didn't know who Jay-Z was until Hard Knock Life came out. You know what
Damn.
I'm saying? And then that was a classic album. We celebrated the anniversary yesterday, 1998, classic album. We had joints like, Reservoir Dogs and, Can I Get a Jigga What Jigga Who. That was a classic album. And I feel like that's the album that really made him who he is now. I don't feel like if he had just dropped Reasonable Doubt, we would be talking about him right now.
I agree. And again, like, I'm probably a little younger than you, and just
Right.
like in my research, like I know that like when Reasonable Doubts first hit, it didn't have the level of acclaim that it has now. Whereas
Right.
Biggie was hotter in the time period, so that's fair. It took a
Right.
while, and Jay even talked about that. Like
Yeah.
Reasonable Doubt took a while for it to really caught people's ears. So that
Right.
that, that is a fair
Even with
take.
not to cut you off, even with Illmatic,
You
when
good?
Illmatic came out, we knew we knew like when Nas dropped, like yo, that's the album. Nas didn't disappoint, but financially he didn't make no money off of it. Which is why he went in the studio and made it was written. But we knew Illmatic was a classic when that joint came out, and that's still his best album ever. I feel like the problem with Nas is he has other classics that's not celebrated, and it's always about Illmatic. What about It Was Written? That's a classic album. What about I Am? What about Stillmatic and Godson? Like, he has many classic albums that need to be celebrated. Instead, he just chooses to celebrate this one album. So it looks at like it's like, well, Nas, we look at Nas like, oh, well, he's a one album wonder, but he has many other classics. With Jay, we know Jay Z's classic. We know Reasonable Doubt. We know Volume 2, the Blueprint. Black Album to me is a classic. I always love that album. Jay has many classics that he celebrates, and people know those albums. With Nas, it's like you always go back to Illmatic.
I always struggle with Nas in terms of that. Like, obviously, Nas is a legend, and his pen is. I think he has a very vivid pen. He's a great storyteller. I
Right,
just feel like the way Illmatic hit is just. I think in terms of a timeline, it's just hit very different for hip hop culture, and
right,
it was a stable. But to your point, like, he has very so much so quality, if not classic albums after that. I just think
right,
it's the narrative that hip hop perpetuates in terms of like Illmatic,
right.
Illmatic, Illmatic. But all right, but
Yeah,
he does have other good albums after that though. But
right. But he's also to blame because like I've been to pop up events where he's celebrating Illmatic year after year. But what about It Was Written? What did we? That was like 25 years this past July. There's no celebration for that. What about Godson? What about Stillmatic? I think I Am is severely slept on. That was a solid album. No, I hear nobody mention that album, and we're always back to Illmatic. And when is it gonna be enough about Illmatic? And let's start celebrating your other work.
what do you? I mean, you might have mentioned this. What do you think is the reason as to why it doesn't kind of like his other
Like you
albums don't
just
get
said,
as much
like
praise?
because like of the media having a part in hyping up Illmatic, like that was his only classic album. With Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, when Michael Jackson dropped, Thriller, that wasn't his only classic album. He had Bad, he had, Dangerous, you know what I'm saying? He had Off the Wall. Michael Jackson celebrated all of his albums. It wasn't just about Thriller all the time. And I felt like with Nas, Illmatic was his Thriller, and it's like even now after all these years, we're still talking about Illmatic, but nobody talks about. We don't celebrate his other work. That's what I'm saying. We don't celebrate
Mm-hmm.
even the underrated albums like Distant Relatives. I thought that was a solid album. I hear nobody mention that album. You know what I'm saying? So we have to start as fans. We have to when it comes to Nas, we have to celebrate his other work and put Illmatic to rest. It's a classic, legendary album, but we got to start celebrating his other work.
And I agree. I feel like people are quick to say, "Oh, Nas is a legend. He's a legend. He's a legend." But it's like, do you know why he's a legend? Do you listen to his body of work? I think people just run to
Right,
Illmatic, or people, especially the younger
right,
generation, they kind of run to his why it did. Yeah, blah blah blah.
right,
But you don't even know why. So I agree with you, and I don't know.
exactly.
I think there should be a bigger platform on it to discuss that, like just so
Yeah.
people kind of like dissect that and why that is, so people can learn more. But I agree with you. I'm gonna get back to these comments. Queen Post started off by saying that Big was hot, but let's be real, Pac bodied him, and he
Oh,
definitely couldn't hold a candle next to Jay. Um, she admitted that she was trolling. She's trying to start conflict. And Giddy says that like the freestyle Pac and Biggie did, where's Brooklyn at? Biggie toasted him. Um, and then Jaws like hit him up was low key weak. How you feel about that?
no, I don't think. To me, I feel like that's one of the best diss records all time. And the way that Pac was his personality, like he didn't have no problem calling you out and letting you know about it. Like even the unreleased Machiavelli track, he's made songs dissing, calling Jay-Z out by name, calling Mobb Deep, calling The Brat, calling Wyclef, calling Jermaine Dupri, LL Cool J, like beef I didn't even know he had. He made sure that he mentioned you on the song. In today's environment and climate of music, we don't really get that. Like I want to say that the last person to really do that was 50 Cent when he had the beef with Fat Joe and with the Locks, and with Murder Inc. 50 was savage. Like he made songs dissing Murder Inc. and made and let you know about it. And I don't think we don't have that anymore. Everybody's trying to be politically correct and trying to be friends. And if you got beat like that's why I love Pusha T, because Pusha T when he called out Drake, he called out Drake. He didn't care about being friends with him. And that's real. So
Yeah.
battling in hip hop is good. It don't have to come to violence. Like that. That's what we did back in the day. Like battling is good. We need more battle. I always hear people say, well, they feel like Kendrick is the best. If Kendrick is the best, then battle the best. Go at Griselda. Go at Jadakiss. Go at Styles P. If you the best, like don't just say that you're the best, but you're not backing it up.
I agree with you as to why I feel like folks don't get at each other anymore. Like as you know, hip hop is built on that competition, that element of the freestyle and the battle. and I feel like we kind of gone astray from it. And like you said, like, I listen to what you're saying. I feel like it's a matter of people trying to secure that bag. I feel like a lot of people
Right.
don't have a pen, and they know for a fact if they get into a rap
Exactly.
battle, they're gonna get
Exactly.
exposed. So it's in
Yep.
their best interest to kind of avoid any type of heat like that. So like, yeah,
Right.
we're gonna have the pushers who always want to smoke. I appreciated that when Kendrick had the control verse, one of the few people that got at him was Meek. Meek wanted it. You know what I mean?
Right.
He got on track
Right.
with him, and they went back and forth. You know, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, you don't really see it that much. And I like J. Cole, he's one of my favorite rappers, but I often feel like he be talking his shit. But like, yo, who you talking about though? Like talk
Right.
about somebody, bro. I want to hear you get in there with
Right. Yeah.
somebody. You got a pen? Let
Yeah.
me hear something. And I
Yeah.
just feel like a lot of people trying to secure their bags, so they trying to be buddy buddy. That they don't want to, kind of like divert from that and mess up any kind of like standing. But that's that. If you
Right.
want to talk about real hip hop, that's what it is. You know.
Right. I agree. I agree. Salute the buckshot. We can't.
What they're talking about in here. Back to the live. He asks, "Is Pusha Drake the best rap beef ever?" What would you think?
Nah. Hell no. Hell no. Nah. Nah. I want to say one of the best was having Ice Cube go against his former group. Like when he dropped No Vaseline and obliterated
Hmm.
the whole group. Like to have one guy obliterate that whole group, that was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Biggie and Pac thing. Like, even though Puffy didn't really let Biggie get off like he was supposed to, like, Hit 'Em Up is a classic diss track. Takeover, of course. Ether, I think Nas won that battle, and I'm saying that, and I'm from Brooklyn, but I feel like Nas won that battle. Um, it's a lot. There's a lot of Terrorist One and MC Shan. You know,
So try. I want to go back. You say you feel like Nas
yeah,
won the battle. The
right.
optics looks like Jay won the battle. So what do you think
Well,
is happening?
the
Why do you
optics
feel like
is
that's?
basically they're going off of like how consistent Jay was, coming out with an album or with a hot single every summer, and the records he sold over Nas. Nas dropped a couple duds. Let's be honest, Notre Dame wasn't no classic album. You know what I'm saying? But you know, lyrically, I felt like Takeover was good. That was a good diss song, and him getting that Prodigy, that was a low blow. But if you listen to that Ether song, like Nas was angry, and we never heard him angry before then. And he made it a point to rip Jay Z's head off, and I was having that discussion even before they were battling. I was saying back in like 1999 to my homeboy, like, yo, who would win if it was Nas and Jay? And I always felt like Nas to me is the better lyricist, but Jay Z was more consistent with the albums he was dropping. You know what I'm saying? And he was more commercial than Nas. And I felt like Nas won that battle. I don't feel like Jay Z could battle him lyrically. Even now, I don't feel like he could take him. When you got joints like I Gave You Power, you know what I'm saying? And Realest Nigga Alive, and joints like that, like New York State of Mind. I don't think Jay can even make a song like that. So I always feel like Nas won that battle lyrically, but Jay Z was more consistent.
Man, it's tough for me, man. Nas got bars. He definitely is lyrical. Um, but I feel like Jay could definitely spit, man. I think that like in
Yeah,
that rap battle, like I think about what is it, Blueprint 2, like the way he
right,
dismantled Nas and his whole set. The
right.
little homie jungle is a god to
But
me. Come
but
on,
but
man.
see, like when you have a great battle song like Takeover, he didn't need to go back in the studio and do Super Ugly. I felt like that was a weak rebuttal. And Nas, he had Ether, and that was it. He didn't need to go back and answer him. He said everything he wanted to say on Ether. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like Nas won.
uh Giddy Wildin'. He said the takeover track is whack. You bugging
Right?
out.
Nah, I
Chill.
don't feel like it was right.
You wildin'.
Why
Giddy,
is it right?
he's trolling, bro. He's trolling.
There's a lot of that going on tonight.
Yeah. He's trying to inflate some problems, man. Back to the last of the joint with Oludara, Bridge the Gap, I guess
Yeah,
it's hard.
that joint was fire. Yeah, I remember when he performed that at the Grammys because he got nominated for that song, him and his pops, and that was a great track to have his pops on the track with him again, and like a nice hip hop jazz fusion. I love that.
Cannabis second round
Yeah,
TKO, my favorite.
that was definitely one of the best. I felt Cannabis won that battle too, but you know the Dick Riders were all over LL, so let's be honest about it. You know that, and I know that. Like LL is a legend, but he got his ass whipped on that song. You know, 99% of your fans wear high heels. That's actual fact.
You kept it a
You know what
buck
I
with him,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
We gonna be here all day, so let's move on to our next section. Cap or no cap. Um, so I think we kind of been
When you say
talking
cap
about
or no
this,
cap,
but
what does that
let's
mean?
get
Like when you say that cap or no cap, what does
so
that mean?
anybody in this section can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is a term that derived from the South. Really, it's more of a more recent term. Kind of like cap is like you lying versus no cap.
Uh-huh.
You know, you being real, whatever.
Okay.
So if someone say you capping, bro, you mean you lying.
Okay.
Um, so the first one is while Biggie was alive, Nas could have held his own in a rap battle against Big Papa.
No cap.
No cap.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hmm.
Is there any reasoning behind that?
Well, I mean, you have to be a talented lyricist to go up against Nas. Nas to me is like the God MC. Like he's like the second generation of Rakim. So I mean, and I felt like Biggie was right there with him. Like, you know, Biggie definitely could have held his own in a battle. So that's why I say that.
Um, it would have been dope to see Big get at Nas. I think that Big's pen was just different, and I feel
Okay.
like if he would have beat Nas, it'd been very close.
Right. Yeah. It would have been close.
Yeah, like it would have been dope to see at that time period. I just think the way his compositions and just how it would have been nasty. It would have been nasty in a good
Yeah.
way.
Definitely.
Um, my next question is Mary J. Blige. Cap or no cap, Mary J. Blige is underrated.
Cap. He's a legend. The queen of hip hop
Mm.
soul. That was my first concert. Seen her in 1992. Great performer. Great singer. She's still great. A still great singer. She's a good actress. I watch her on Power 2. Definitely a legend in my opinion.
I would say cap too. I feel like she doesn't get the praise again, and it's optics. Maybe I'm not watching certain platforms to notice, but I feel like the
Right.
optics gives me the impression she doesn't get the recognition she deserves. And to your point, I feel like she's accomplished so much in her career. Like I had to like research it. I'm gonna read what she got
Mhm.
so people actually know.
Right.
She
Right.
released 13 studio albums. 8 of them have achieved multi-platinum status. She has 9 Grammy Awards, 4 American Music Awards, 12 Billboard Music Awards, and she received 3 Golden Globe Awards. Um, and I mean, again, she's been claimed the queen of hip hop soul. You know what I
Right.
mean? And really, like, just
Hmm.
kind of like being between that marriage of like the hip hop and R&B just sound.
Right.
So like, just reading that on paper is like, yo. But I
Hmm.
just feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Troy. I feel like the optics they don't allow her to have that recognition.
I feel that's because of Beyonce's presence. I mean, everything
Mm,
can't be about Beyonce. You know, before Beyonce, you had Mary, you had Faith Evans, you had Monica and Brandy. So, you know, let's give respect to these other singers, and everything can't be about Beyonce all the time. But
mm,
I think Mary is a legend. She's right where she needs to be. Um, Mary made it cool to wear, fitted caps and Doc Martin boots in videos when women wasn't doing that back then. And before Mariah started, went on her remix run, Mary was doing remixes first, and she made it hot. And collaborating with the best rappers, whether it was 50 Cent or Nas or Jay Z, Biggie. They have countless classic remixes with a lot of dead cats too. Craig Mack, Heavy D and the Boys,
mm.
rest in peace to Heavy D and Craig Mack, and she's a legend in my opinion.
Troy, I need your help, bro. We got some more trolling going on in here, man.
I
People
see it. I
talking
see
about
it.
Mary.
The queen is bugging.
Mary singing like somebody stepped on her toe.
Nah, man.
Like,
Stop, stop
do
that.
you think she got the vocals on deck or not?
Nah, she's one of the best singers ever, like in of any genre. Like let's stop that right now. She is not using auto tune. She ain't using no auto tune. You know what I'm saying? She, you know, like she really can sing. I've seen her like 3 times in concert. She definitely is a legend. She definitely can sing. I would put her up against anybody. Beyonce, Mariah, Whitney, Janet, whoever.
I got some more comments in here. Giddy said that
Dang, you
Anderson
gotta go
Paak
through
is
the
the new
list.
Mary J. Blige. What you said?
Who? Anderson .Paak?
Yeah, it's the new Mary J. Blige.
I never heard that before. That's different for. I never heard that. Anderson .Paak is a great artist. I definitely love his albums. You know, Ventura was dope. Oxnard, Malibu is my favorite. Definitely in his own lane. He's another great singer that he's not running to collaborate with everybody on his album and using you know, auto tune. He's definitely, you know, he plays the drums. He can do a lot. Definitely a talented artist. I never heard nobody say he's like the new Mary J. That's something different.
There's some relatability. If I know Giddy, there's some relatability to like the soulful aspect. But yeah, I think that's a an interesting take. I don't know if it is like a strong comparison in that
Right.
regard, but the soul, I feel that though. And then
I love getting
Queen
on with
Post said
Millie and
that.
Anderson.
What happened?
No, I was just reading the comments.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Queen Post is not really feeling that sound. Um, so the only right again, like I said, like I appreciate having you on here. Try this last cap or no cap question. I think you have a great insight on this one.
I
Cap or no cap, East Coast rap is dead.
no cap.
How so?
It's never been dead for us. I think, you know, we took a backseat to the South, you know, during the early 2000s when Nelly was blowing up and Little John, and you had people like Chingy coming out and, you know, the franchise boys. But, you know, I feel like we did lose our sound for a minute after the era of the mixtape era, you know, with G Unit and Dipset. And you had a lot of MCs from New York, like Jadakiss included, trying to do what the South was doing, jumping on, you know, a lot of the Southern artist remixes and stuff. And I get that they wanted to stay relevant, but I felt like New York has our own sound, and there's a like you including Outkast. Like when I was watching that Organized Noise documentary, and Outkast wanted to be like a lot of the East Coast groups like EPMD and Brand Nubian, and they looked up to us. So it's like we have our own style and our own swag about us, and you know, I feel like with the new era of MCs like Griselda, like Lee Lord, you know, like 38 Special and what he's doing with the Trust Gang and a lot of it. We got that East Coast sound back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy about that because we did lose our way for a minute.
You know, it's of that last point you just said. I just feel like you know, I'm from the East Coast too, right? So I have a particular
Mm.
sound. Like, I resonate heavy with that sound, and I had to realize that hip hop is universal now. It's worldwide now. So
Right.
I want. It's hard to say cap or no. I would say no cap in the sense that like it is evolved now. Like you said, like back in the day, people from down south was trying to sound like us. I think you have a lot of East Coast rappers that's trying to stay relevant and stay above water
Right.
by adopting a lot of these trap southern sounds. And the reality of it is just that hip hop has evolved and it's gone global in ways that we never saw before. Like people in the UK and other countries, Germany, are doing rap
Mm-hmm.
music in ways we never even saw. And I think that like
Right.
there's a lot of people like in the East that are really territorial about like, nah, I don't listen to none of this new music. But I feel like I'll take an example, like Pop Smoke. You got hit a lot of influence from 50. 50 has influences from blah 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 and so on and so forth. Like, you know, I think even Nas said like somebody said like nothing's really new or like nothing's really original under the sun, man. Everything derives from something. So ultimately I just it has evolved and I think we had to accept as a hip hop community that it's not gonna sound the way it sounded in the 1990s. It's not what it is anymore.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's dead. I think, you know, somebody alluded to like Griselda has it right now. Yeah, they're on some shit, and that sound is just very prominent at that golden era. And I think it
Right.
also shows that like hip hop doesn't have an expiration date. Like anybody can come out and spit however they want to spit. And but I ultimately feel like it's not dead. It kind of evolved. That's it. That's my opinion
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, but it's. I mean, we never lost the boom bap sound. It was always there. It just took a back seat, like I said, to the a lot of the Southern artists that was popping at that point. You know, Flow Rider was big. You know, Little John and East Side Boys. You know what I'm saying? So, but I feel like when you have the addition of Griselda coming into their own and Flea Lord and Ransom still doing it after all these years, and I feel like we got our sound back, and they're getting more recognition like the way it should be.
Mm. You might have been saying something. You might got cut off.
Oh yeah. Now I was saying like when you have like the new crop of MCs like Shay Noah, Ransom still out there doing this thing, Griselda and Flea Lord and still got Cook. They still keeping that boom bap sound alive, that New York sound alive. So we never lost it. Just that it took a back seat for other sounds, and then as well like we had like a lot of hip hop has evolved into like other genres. So that's another thing. Like it's more alternative now with like artists like Kid Cudi. It's more alternative now, and Drake of course doing his thing. So I think that's what it is. More like it's more flavor in the soup that you can get
Hmm.
from now.
Hmm. Battle Lab is definitely making sure that Houston is heard. He said Houston give us our
Right,
flowers. Queen Poe, she definitely dubbed him on like she definitely added on that they definitely deserve that. He mentioned Don Toliver, Meg, and Travis. I agree 100%. Houston is definitely a staple in the hip hop game, and they definitely got a lot of like artists that are prominent in the game and have influence.
right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yo, try, man. You have to fight Queen Poe at the end of this show, man. She giving you grief.
Funny.
But we getting ready to conclude. I appreciate everybody that chimed in today. In the comment section and try like again, you have a wealth of knowledge. I wish you nothing but the best. It's very clear that the people that came on this show recognize you as someone that just has a great wealth of knowledge in the hip hop community, and we always love having you on the show. This definitely won't be the last time for sure.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This was fun. I like all the comments, all the funny comments I'm reading. Thank you.
We still got people going off right now. Oh man, we definitely gotta do it up next week.
Yeah,
I'm hearing rumors that Queen Poe about to pull up next week. I don't know. Try. I'm
all right.
hearing rumors. I'm not sure just yet. That's what I'm hearing.
I'll be up
But
in there. I'm gonna be up in
yeah, definitely you gotta troll her because
there.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Peace out to everybody, man. Love and peace.
Peace.
Be safe and be
Salute.
well. Until next time.